My dear viewers, beginning today is the official Alliteration Gaming Patreon and channel members. Throughout my Patreon, we've got quite a few tiers you can check out in order to gain special perks and even commission videos that you'd like to see me upload onto the channel. Every tier includes a shout out on my supporter card at the beginning of all of my videos, along with the benefits of the tier itself. Following that, you can now also join the Alliteration Nation by becoming a channel member on the YouTube side of things. Pledging your subscription here as a member of the channel is going to grant you the same shout out on my supporter card as all the Patreon tiers do, as well as access to the members only channel on my Discord. You'll gain a member badge that will level up as you stay subscribed and access to my exclusive emotes when I stream on YouTube. If you're interested in checking out the Patreon, I'm going to have the link in the description and in the pinned comment down below, as well as the link to my Discord should you want to join that as well. And if you want to become a channel member, the big beautiful join button is front and center on my homepage right here. And if you do decide to support the channel in any way whatsoever, know that I am unimaginably grateful, and I can't wait to provide you with even more top-notch content at my trademark top speed. Now, let's get on to the video. Good evening, my dear viewers, and welcome to another Alliteration Gaming video. My name, as always, is Levi, and today we're going to be doing another character spotlight. Brought to you by Brian Connolly over on the Patreon. Steel yourselves, guys. For this showcase, it's going to be on Class 1B's chivalrous student, TetsuTetsu. TetsuTetsu is a 5 hand-sized character with a massive 32 health pool and the Earth, Good, and Void symbols. Those sound familiar? Well, as a 5-hander, he's got a ton of abilities on him, so let's not waste any time and break him down. First off, he can trade a card in his hand for 4 damage. 4 is a pretty big number to get just from a single card, and while it might seem like our 5-hand size limits that quite a bit, we have a lot of ways inside of our deck to dance around with that number. Next, we're actually encouraged to dump everything in our hand away, because once we do, we get to set an attack all the way down to 1 damage each turn. This is of course very powerful, getting to essentially chump 1 move for free if we can fulfill that condition each turn is going to put us miles ahead of our rival's offense. We can even discard our cards during our rival's attacks if we just desperately need to achieve that condition. Lastly, every single time we do get hit, we can go ahead and pick up anything from our stage right into our hand. With this ability, you can really see how Tetsu is able to use all of his abilities in tandem with each other to get the absolute most out of his cards. Massively pumping up your attacks, playing out your entire hand, taking one puny 1 damage attack on the chin, and then picking up a block for the next one is a really great gameplay loop, and he's got so many fantastic interactions in between all of that with all of the cards he has access to on his symbols that really help push those actions even further. With his hardened steel quirk, you can throw everything away for a massive offense and invite your rival to strike you head on as you harden up to take hit after hit on the chin. Now, as cool as weathering our rival's attacks are, let's worry about our own. When it comes to moves that Tetsu wants to play, it's all about resources, baby. We are going to be wanting to both use our enhance to discard for that sweet 4 damage as freely as we want, and also making up for being a 5 hand-sized character in general. So attacks that generate cards are our bread and our butter. TetsuTetsu Fist and TetsuTetsu Thrashing both take the stage here as attacks that both replenish our hand, build us cards, and put the hurt on our rival in the process. They encourage us to play our hand very aggressively and push every single button on our character, and we love that. Future Charge can also provide some additional draw power. Meanwhile, Relentless Barrage can act as a backup set of the TetsuTetsu Thrashing game plan. And of course, if you're looking for Foundation Ramp or draw power, there is no better place to find them than Hardened Jab and Back Alley Haymaker. Now, as nice as all this resource manipulation is, we need some attacks that bring the pain too. 4 damage is a big step in the right direction, but we need some good vessels for it. Wind Up Punch and Full Cowling are going to really encourage you to throw that hand away relentlessly for those buffs through the extra benefits of Stun 2 or the gift of being able to replenish your hand once you empty it out. Meanwhile, Uppercut, Cross Punch, and Setup Strike are all going to provide some much needed speed buffs just so that we can make sure all of those damage pumped attacks can actually hit. All that damage won't mean much if we can't actually ensure any of them connect because they're just so slow. Hardened Chop is also a great source of ramp that really excels in characters that can put some valuable damage on it. Speaking of getting value out of our damage, something noteworthy about Tetsu's damage pump is that it doesn't specify non-throw attacks. Putting that 4 damage on an attack that can't be fully blocked can essentially read as a direct 2 damage burn on our rival for some guaranteed value. Reverse throw is obviously the standout one here, as that 4 damage immediately puts it at the threshold to draw a card via its enhance. Meanwhile, ones like Creeping Vine and Overhead Reversal also have their own ways of generating some extra advantage. A lot of these throws' abilities to guarantee damage and recur resources are exactly what we want in a character like TetsuTetsu, and our damage pump lets us squeeze even more value and overall game state progression out of them. Now it's about time to talk foundations. This is where we're going to really start highlighting the value that comes out of our ability to reduce our rival's attack to 1 damage. Getting to essentially negate an attack every turn with TetsuTetsu is very strong, but there's still a significant difference in 1 damage as opposed to blocking. We're letting our rival take momentum and activate on-hit abilities, and that is not great. However, we have a lot of ways inside of our deck to actually outweigh the cons there and make taking 1 much more preferable to 0. Our symbols are home to a slew of abilities that trigger off of taking any amount of damage. Whether you're healing off of super regeneration, replenishing your hand with things like homage or coping, or just building even more resources with male bonding, there are a slew of ways past just our character's response to make taking 1 damage come along with tons of advantage. Not only do we get to bring ourselves up, we can also mess up our rival. Things like learning the standards and male bonding are going to stop people dead in their tracks once we take our 1 damage, and really present themselves as heaps of resources that your rival's going to have to fight through before they can actually land meaningful damage on your character. Next order of business, our character discards cards. And while plenty of our attacks make that exchange worthwhile, we've got plenty of foundations that can also cushion out that cost even further. Any means necessary is the highlight here. Playable on 2 of our symbols, it's just gonna always make our enhance totally free. Its block modifier is not pretty, but in a character that can always discard it, we'll never have to take that into account. Speaking of encouraging us to discard cards, here's passing the torch. Our character already wants us to go down and no cards in hand, so the benefits just don't stop once these start hitting our board. Moreover, we've got a ton of handy little abilities that activate on cards when they hit our discard pile, meaning discarding them with our enhance can result in even more stats or even some utility effects like tutoring Kirishima's flip. Let's cover some really strong synergies within our character. Heroic Icon, Self-Sacrifice, and our very own Manly Friendship all have the ability to put -1 damage onto an attack. Not a significant number by any means, but when we can bring an attack all the way down to 1 damage first, you can see where the power comes in. We talked earlier about how big of a difference it is to make an attack 1 damage and to fully zero it out. That's where these cards come in. Being able to take TetsuTetsu's already powerful enhance to bring something down to 1 and actually bring it all the way down to that full 0 is so much stronger. New Training Method is usually a card much more enjoyed by 7-handers with a lot of cards to play with, but given that we're a character that wants to empty our hand out often, it can also be a powerful include in our TetsuTetsu decks. Lastly, Small and Limber is a card that we can just take so much advantage of off of 2 of our symbols, because every time we respond with our character, we get to ready all of these back up. The last points that I have to touch on when it comes to our foundations is speed and draw power. A character that puts massive damage on moves is always going to want to pack speed just to make sure those hits can go through, and our stage can help us with that as well. We have lots of minimal speed pump leading all the way up to the big ones in Snack Time and One with Nature. These guys are the strongest speed boosts, albeit at the cost of the cards in our hand. That's normally a steep loss, but not for TetsuTetsu. 0 cards in hand is our end goal after all. Even so, you don't mind having some draw power to help pad that out as well and make sure you're getting the most of your abilities. We saw the powerful passing the torch already, but things like Chivalrous Competitor and Calling for Backup can also help us accrue even more cards on our other symbols as well. It's also worth noting that a lot of these cards are flip costs, meaning that when we pick them up with Tetsu's response, we can rebuild them next turn to keep getting those powerful effects off again and again. Speaking of reusing your flip effects, let's talk some assets. assets. THRASH, it's my favorite pick here, as reusing all of those flips for more speed and draw power across the course of a game can bring a ton of mileage. I don't think Tetsu has any super synergistic picks on his other symbols, but still, here's a couple generic options that are going to pull weight in any deck they're in. For actions, the conversation is pretty similar. Go for the Win is fairly standout, as it provides speed pump and resource ramp, two of our deck's favorite things to find. Other than that, there are always lots of handy actions across the good Earth and Void symbols. Just make sure you're not overloading too many of these in your smaller hand size character. And that's going to conclude our showcase today on TetsuTetsu. Big thanks again to Brian for commissioning this video, and if you enjoyed and or learned anything from it, I would appreciate some feedback down below via the like button, the comment button, or even the subscribe button if you want some more MHA CCG content into your news feed. Furthermore, the join button down there is going to grant you some exclusive perks by making you a channel member and give you access to my private Discord channel in my server. The Patreon is linked down there below and is going to let you commission a video exactly like this. You get to choose a character for me to cover, or you can check out any of my other commission tiers as well for some interactive experiences and influence on what type of content I make. If all of that sounds great, I've got the links to everything in the description and in the pinned comment below, so you can check them out. Whether you do or don't, I just appreciate that you made it all the way to the end of this video. It means a lot, and I hope I can see you in the next one.